a crazy, powerful, advanced $12,000 lens right here, guys. This is the Sony 400mm f2.8 for E-mount, for the A9 specifically. This is what sports shooters, what wildlife shooters have been asking for and waiting for. And Sony has developed, look at, I'm holding it with one hand, a 400mm f2.8 that surpasses the focus speed, the quality of any 400mm f2.8 ever made. Now, this is according to Sony, of course. I'm not a sports shooter. I would love to be a wildlife shooter, but there's really not much wildlife in my neck of the woods. But I'm here today in New York to shoot this lens at a soccer game. And while I'm not a sports shooter, I am looking forward to testing this out with the IAF that Sony keeps telling me is so amazing with this lens. Yes, this lens is 12K, my friends, and they have teleconverters available that will bring this up to all the way up to 800 millimeters focal length. You can shoot this guy handheld. It's not that heavy. In fact, I think it's 2 pounds lighter than an equivalent Canon or Nikon 400mm setup. So they've managed to somehow up the quality, up the bokeh quality, the sharpness, which beats the Canon and Nikon. They managed to do all that while keeping it lighter. So that is really, really cool. This is a serious lens. I have no idea how I'm gonna do shooting soccer. I've never shot soccer. I'm not a sports shooter, but if you are, this is a lens. If you're a sports shooter and you make money from your sports shooting or wildlife, this is something you really want to look at because there's nothing quite like this lens. This is with an A9 body with the grip, and it's heavy, but it's not like unbearably heavy. I picked up a Nikon and a Canon downstairs with their 400 f2.8, and it was quite a bit heavier feeling. With this, I look forward to shooting it. We're gonna go out in about an hour and shoot a game. It's supposed to thunderstorm, so I have a rain cover for the lens. I don't have a rain cover for me, unfortunately, but I'm looking forward to doing this. And actually, since this is a video I'm recording right now, we'll just go right into the images that I'm going to catch in the future. So here we go, let's take a look. So these were all shot JPEG out of the A9. I shot JPEG as I had a 64 gig card, and shooting between 10 and 20 frames per second, I didn't want to fill up that card like first quarter of the game. I never shot sports like this, so I had no idea what to expect. So I started out shooting people. With that 400mm reach, you really have some reach. So I was aiming it up at the crowd as the crowd started coming in while the players were warming up, and I was snapping a few close-up headshots. And again, these are JPEGs wide open using a monopod, and the detail is incredible for JPEG shots. These are right out of the camera, and this one I will zoom in on. And I also had the ISO cranked up a bit because I wanted a really fast shutter speed. Not shooting sports in the past like this, I wanted to give myself every opportunity to succeed in freezing that motion. So the color, the contrast, the bokeh is all top class, as is the sharpness and detail. As you can see here, all wide open, beautiful bokeh, smooth fall off, smooth transitions, gorgeous color. I love the A9 color. It's my favorite of the recent version 3 bodies like the A7 III and R3. For some reason, the A9 to me just has a more punchy look to the colors and the rendering. But again, I was just snapping people and pictures because I much prefer to shoot people than sports. I'm just not a sports guy. So here I was with this big massive lens with a few other reviewers and YouTubers out near the field shooting with our monopods, and I'm sure some of the others had snapped some amazing images. And I have a few images of the gameplay coming up, but I just wanted to look at the bokeh. Very smooth. Being a G Master lens, you get the best bokeh, the best contrast, the best sharpness. These are cost no object designs from Sony. This lens is $12,000, but if I was a sports professional and shot sports for a living, I would own this lens without question. I would take out a loan, whatever I had to do to buy it. If I was an everyday guy like I am, no way I wouldn't buy this lens, because it's specialized. If you're wildlife or sports, this lens will deliver the goods. And I have to say, shooting it on the M9 was pretty sweet. The no blackout EVF, the 20 frames per second. I think I was shooting at 10 frames per second for most of the game. It's the tracking, the focus is just insane. This was my favorite shot because I was able to freeze the action right after he bounced that ball off his head. And again, you'll see some image noise, but I had the ISO cranked up. Still, the speed is blazing fast of the camera and the lens. The autofocus is just instantaneous, which I did not expect at all from a 400mm lens. So pretty cool. And again, if this was my specialty, if this was my thing, I'd be buying this lens in a nanosecond. 12 grand is a lot of money, but not if you're using it professionally to earn money. Again, this one was cranked up ISO, shooting into the crowd. This picture I actually messed with. I lowered the contrast a little bit. I think I had underexposed it. Some of these shots I did underexpose because I was shooting all manual. This one I did not, but again, it gives you an idea of how the lens will render, and render wide open, which is the only way I shot. Here I just aimed it, and I did not have face detection on, but it grabbed this woman, which is who I wanted to shoot, and delivers sharp rendering all the way around. This guy was waving the flag in a cloud of smoke after his team scored. All in all, this is a really professional, heavy-duty, serious as you can get lens. Me, it's not something I will ever use again because I don't use these kind of lenses, but I'm glad I got to try it. I'm glad I got to use it and experience doing something I've never done before, shooting soccer. So thumbs up for the Sony 400mm f2.8 G Master. It's a killer lens, killer professional serious lens. If you're a sports shooter, I highly recommend trying to get a look at one, testing one, using one, renting one, whatever, because I think once you try it on the A9, make sure you shoot it on the A9, I think you're going to love it. This is Steve for SteveHuffPhoto.com. I'll see you next time.